The glittering lights of Los Angeles have always cast a dramatic shadow, blending the high-stakes world of public governance with the unpredictable theater of celebrity culture. For decades, the city has been a stage where fame and power dance in a complex routine, creating a unique environment where the boundaries of reality often become blurred. In this coastal metropolis, a standard municipal vote can rapidly transform into a nationwide spectacle, drawing attention far beyond the borders of California. The local ballot box becomes an arena where national narratives are tested, and where the mechanisms of a modern democratic system are scrutinized under the brightest of spotlights. To understand how a local race for municipal leadership could capture the undivided attention of the entire country, one must first look at the unique atmosphere of Southern California, a place where trends are born and where public figures are uniquely attuned to the power of presentation. If you want to stay informed about these fascinating shifts in our cultural and civic landscape, please take a brief moment to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on the stories shaping our world. This ongoing convergence of entertainment and civic duty has set the stage for an extraordinary confrontation, one that began with local grievances but quickly escalated into a national conversation about trust processes and the changing nature of public life. The story begins not in the quiet halls of committee rooms, but in the highly visible realm of public commentary, where late-night television often serves as the mirror reflecting our collective anxieties and absurdities. It was on a Monday evening that the latest chapter of this ongoing drama unfolded before millions of viewers, transforming a regional counting process into a masterclass in public scrutiny. The atmosphere was already charged with anticipation as observers across the country watched the numbers fluctuate, waiting to see how a major American city would define its future path. The tension had been building for days, fueled by a slow and deliberate counting process that is characteristic of the region, yet deeply frustrating to those accustomed to instant results in the digital age. This delay created a fertile ground for speculation, allowing different interpretations of the unfolding events to take hold in the public consciousness before the final outcome could be officially certified. As the evening broadcast began, the focus turned toward the mechanics of the vote itself, highlighting the stark contrast between the traditional methods of civic participation and the modern expectations of immediate validation. The host of the program, a seasoned observer of the intersection between fame and public discourse, stepped forward to address the growing wave of commentary that had begun to emerge from the highest levels of national conversation. With a mix of characteristic humor and direct analysis, the presentation sought to unpack the complex reality behind the headlines, challenging the narratives that had begun to circulate across social media and news networks alike. The discussion centered on the surprising trajectory of a prominent local figure whose transition from the world of unscripted entertainment to the arena of municipal leadership had caught many by surprise. This individual had managed to tap into a deep well of local frustration, positioning themselves as an outsider capable of disrupting the established order. A strategy that initially yielded significant momentum during the early phases of the tallying process. The early returns had painted a picture of a stunning upset, suggesting that the celebrity candidate was poised to challenge the status quo in a significant way. A development that quickly caught the attention of national figures looking to validate their own perspectives on the state of local affairs. However, as the days progressed and more ballots were processed, the initial picture began to change in a way that is entirely predictable to those familiar with the regional system, yet highly controversial to those viewing the situation from afar. The shift in numbers created a dramatic narrative arc, shifting the focus from an immediate triumph to a complex numbers game that would ultimately decide who would advance to the final stage of the contest. This transition from early optimism to late-stage calculation became the focal point of the late-night monologue, as the host meticulously dismantled the assertions that this shift was evidence of systemic manipulation. Instead, the explanation offered was one of routine logistics, a reflection of how a diverse and spread-out population chooses to exercise its franchise over an extended period. The commentary highlighted the irony of a situation where the standard operations of a system are interpreted as an anomaly simply because they do not align with the immediate expectations of the participants. By examining the specific details of how the votes were collected and processed, the report began to build a clear picture of a process that is often misunderstood. demonstrating that what appeared to be a sudden shift was actually the gradual unfolding of a predetermined methodology. This detailed examination provided the necessary context to understand the broader implications of the dispute, setting the stage for a deeper look into the specific arguments and figures that would dominate the discourse in the days to follow. The narrative was no longer just about who would lead a major city, but about how the public understands the integrity of the systems that govern their lives, making the unfolding events a preview of a much larger conversation that would occupy the national subconscious for months to come. As the segment concluded, the audience was left with a sense of anticipation, recognizing that the initial skirmish was merely the opening act in a much larger and more consequential discussion about the nature of modern public life. The final resolution of this extraordinary chapter in regional governance brings us back to the fundamental mechanics of the democratic process and the human journeys that define it. The true significance of this dispute extends far beyond the borders of California, serving as an enduring case study in how modern communication can shape public perception of administrative reality. What began as a localized primary for the leadership of Los Angeles ultimately transformed into a national conversation about patience, mathematical certainty, and the institutional resilience of the electoral system. For the heroes of this narrative, the journey has been one of stark realizations and public transformation, illustrating the profound differences between the fleeting nature of media attention and the enduring structures of civic responsibility. The individual at the center of the controversy, whose path wound from the heights of early reality television to the intense scrutiny of a major municipal election, found themselves confronting a system that operates entirely on cold, verifiable data rather than public narrative or cultural momentum. This transition from the structured, predictable drama of television production to the chaotic and unyielding realities of public service highlighted a broader cultural shift, where the boundaries between fame and governance continue to intersect in unpredictable ways. The journey of the candidate was marked by an initial surge of populist enthusiasm, capturing the imagination of those who felt alienated by traditional administrative processes. Yet it ultimately encountered the immovable obstacle of a complete and meticulous vote count. This outcome underscored a vital truth about the nature of modern civic institutions, demonstrating that despite the intense pressure of national commentary and high-profile allegations, the underlying machinery of the vote remains remarkably stable and indifferent to external influence. The slow, deliberate processing of the mail-in ballots, which caused such initial consternation and fueled so many conspiracy theories, was revealed to be a triumph of meticulous administration rather than a flaw in the system. It proved that every voice, whether cast in person on a Tuesday morning or mailed weeks prior from a distant neighborhood, carries the exact same weight when the final ledger is balanced. The late-night commentary that initially brought this situation to national attention served a vital role in demystifying these complex procedures, using satire and direct analysis to educate the public on the reality of how modern elections are conducted. By breaking down the chronological order of the count and explaining why certain trends appear when they do, the public discourse was shifted away from vague accusations of wrongdoing and toward a grounded understanding of logistics. This educational aspect of the controversy remains its most lasting legacy, providing citizens with the tools necessary to interpret future electoral data with a critical and informed eye rather than succumbing to immediate panic or unsubstantiated claims. Furthermore, the events in Los Angeles provided a clear preview of the broader national landscape, illustrating the exact rhetorical strategies that would come to define subsequent campaigns across the country. The pattern of claiming victory based on early incomplete data and then alleging systemic manipulation when the final total shift has become a recognizable fixture of contemporary public life, making the lessons of this specific primary more relevant than ever. The resilience of the local officials who managed the process under immense public pressure stands as a testament to the dedication of ordinary citizens who work behind the scenes to ensure the integrity of the vote. These workers, who faced unprecedented scrutiny and unfair accusations, continued their task with a quiet professionalism that ultimately vindicated the entire process. Their dedication ensured that the final results were beyond reproach, establishing a clear and undeniable mandate for the candidates who actually advanced to the November runoff. As the dust settled over the West Coast and the nation moved forward into the next phase of the civic calendar, the story of the celebrity candidate, the late-night comedian, and the mail-in ballots became a foundational parable for the modern era. It served as a powerful reminder that while the methods of communication and the speed of information have changed dramatically, the core principles of the democratic process remain rooted in patience, accuracy, and the rule of law. The final numbers reflected the true, unvarnished will of the electorate, demonstrating that in a functioning system, no amount of fame, external pressure, or rhetorical manipulation can alter the basic math of a certified vote. This realization brought a sense of closure to a turbulent chapter, reinforcing the idea that the structures designed to protect the collective voice are capable of enduring even the most intense storms of public controversy. The journey of Los Angeles through this primary election will be remembered not as a crisis of confidence, but as a demonstration of institutional strength, showing that when the mechanisms of accountability are allowed to function without interference, the truth of the public will inevitably prevail. The narrative concludes with a renewed focus on the upcoming general election, where the lessons learned during this primary will undoubtedly guide both the behavior of the candidates and the expectations of the voters, shaping the future of the region for years to come. In the grand tapestry of American public life, this episode stands as a definitive moment where the illusion of performance was thoroughly dismantled by the slow, steady, and undeniable reality of a complete democratic count.